Hi friends, welcome to Pharma Classes Learn at a Glance. I am Dr. JP. Today we are going to discuss diuretics using the book Pharmacology Learn at a Glance. We are going to see diuretics are classified into three different types based on their mode of action. Here one mnemonic I have given, whom. All are capital letters, but we have to see bold. WHM. W means weak diuretics, H high ceiling diuretics, M medium efficacy diuretics. Next, coming to the weak diuretics, they are further divided into four types. Here I have given XCOP, but we have to see bold letters. XCOP, X xanthine derivatives, C carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, O osmotic diuretics, P potassium sparing diuretics. Xanthine derivatives are theophylline and theobromine. Carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, they are end with the suffix zolamide. The drugs are MAD. MAD, all are capital letters and bold. M methazolamide, A acetazolamide, D dichlorphenamide. Osmotic diuretics are here mnemonic OMGI, oh my god, increase urine. We have to see capital letters with bold. O osmotic diuretics, M mannitol, G glycerol, I isosorbide. Last week diuretics is potassium sparing diuretics. Here mnemonic add ADD, but bold letters are A and D. A aldosterone antagonist, D direct inhibitors of sodium channels. Aldosterone antagonist example here SE. Mnemonic is SEND, but bold letters are S and E. S spironolactone, E eplerenone. Direct inhibitors of sodium channels, mnemonic available time. Bold letters are A and T. A amiloride, T triamterene. Second classification, high ceiling diuretics. Mnemonic is BFIT. Bold letters are BEFT. B bumetanide, E ethacrenic acid, F furosemide, T torsemide. Last one, medium efficacy diuretics. Mnemonic but bold letters are B and T. B benzodiazepines, T thiazide-like diuretics. Benzodiazepines, mnemonic phobic, but bold letters are PHBC. P polythiazide, H hydrochlorothiazide, B benzothiazide, C chlorothiazide. Thiazide-like diuretics. Here the mnemonic is X Medical Council of India. Bold letters are XMCI. X xipamide, M metolazone, C chlorthalidone, I indapamide. Xanthine derivatives. Xanthine derivatives are theophylline and theobromine. These are methyl xanthine derivatives. Methyl xanthines are mild diuretics. They work by inhibiting the reabsorption of sodium and water. Among methyl xanthines, theophylline and theobromine are more potent diuretics than caffeine. Carbonic anhydrase inhibitors. First, let us discuss what is carbonic anhydrase. It is an enzyme present in the proximal convoluted tubule in the nephron and ciliary body epithelium in the eye. Next, what is the role of carbonic anhydrase in kidney? Carbonic anhydrase converts carbon dioxide and water to carbonic acid. Then it converts carbonic acid to bicarbonate and proton. Here you see carbon dioxide and water in the presence of carbonic anhydrase to convert carbonic acid. This carbonic acid dissociates into proton and carbonate. Next, what is the role of proton, or how does this proton increase the reabsorption of sodium? The proton is formed inside the tubular cells by the action of carbonic anhydrase. This proton is exchanged with sodium by sodium proton antiporter. Thereby, sodium is reabsorbed but not excreted. As a result, the carbonic anhydrase increases the reabsorption of sodium in the nephron. Next, coming to the carbonic anhydrase inhibitors. How do they act? They decrease the protons by inhibiting carbonic anhydrase. Therefore, less protons are available for sodium proton exchange. As a result, sodium and bicarbonate are excreted in the urine. Here you see, this is the sodium and proton exchanger. Carbon dioxide and water in the presence of enzyme carbonic anhydrase to form carbonic acid. This carbonic acid converted into proton and bicarbonate. This proton is exchanged with sodium in the presence of sodium proton antiporter. This carbonic anhydrase inhibitors inhibit carbonic anhydrase enzyme. As a result, protons are not formed, so that sodium and bicarbonates are excreted in the urine. What are those drugs? Carbonic anhydrase inhibitors are end with suffix zolamides. Here mnemonic MAD, MAD, capital letters with bold, M methazolamide, A acetazolamide, D dichlorphenamide. Next, coming to the adverse effects. Carbonic anhydrase inhibitors are sulfonamide derivatives, so they cause hypersensitivity reactions. Next, increased excretion of carbonate causes metabolic acidosis. Sulfonamides precipitate in urine usually at neutral or acidic pH. Thereby they cause crystalluria, hematuria and obstruction. So this can be treated by adequate hydration and alkalization of urine. Osmotic diuretics. First, osmotic diuretics. Where do they act? They act primarily in the proximal convoluted tubule and descending loop of Henle. How do they act? They draw water from tissues by osmotic action. This results in increased excretion of water and electrolytes. Next, what are those examples? OMGI, oh my god, increase urine. Here we have to see capital letters with bold. OMGI. O osmotic diuretics, M mannitol, G glycerol, I isosorbide. Next, mannitol is a low molecular weight weak diuretic. It is neither metabolized in the body nor is significantly reabsorbed from tubules. It is freely filtered at the glomerulus. Next, when mannitol is administered intravenously as 5%, 10% and 20% solutions, it increases the osmotic pressure in the blood vessels. As a result, renal blood flow and glomerular filtration rate increases so that water and other electrolytes are excreted. Next, mannitol should not be administered in acute renal failure because it increases ECF value. Mannitol should not be administered in acute renal failure because it increases extracellular fluid value, but it cannot be filtered. Isosorbide and glycerol are administered orally in the treatment of glaucoma and cerebral edema. Last weak diuretic is potassium-sparing diuretics. The potassium-sparing diuretics inhibit sodium channels in the late distal tubule and collecting duct. Thereby, they inhibit sodium reabsorption and potassium excretion. They are relatively weak diuretics, so they are often used in combination with other diuretics. Let us discuss the normal function of the sodium channels. Influx of sodium into the principal cell makes the lumen more negative. To compensate this negative charge, potassium channel is activated, which is obtained from the activation of sodium-potassium ATPase. And ultimately, lower potassium levels in the bloodstream causes hypokalemia. Potassium-sparing diuretics are classified into two types based on their mechanism of action. First one, direct inhibitors of sodium channels. They inhibit sodium channels in the late distal tubule and collecting duct. Here, this channel is inhibited. Thereby, excretion of sodium takes place. What are those drugs? Here, I have given one mnemonic available type. Here, A and T. Capital letters with bold. A, amiloride. T, triamterene. Next, second classes of potassium-sparing diuretics, aldosterone antagonist. First, let us discuss the normal function of aldosterone. On the basolateral side, aldosterone, which is released from the adrenal cortex, enters the cell and binds with mineralocorticoid receptors. It induces aldosterone-induced proteins. Thereby, this aldosterone-induced proteins activates the sodium channels. This is the normal mechanism of aldosterone. Now we discuss aldosterone antagonists. They competitively block the mineralocorticoid receptors and prevent the formation of aldosterone-induced proteins. Therefore, sodium channel is inactivated, thus causing sodium excretion and potassium retention. What are those drugs? Here I have given one mnemonic scent. All are capital letters, but we see bold. SE. S. Spironolactone. E. Eplerenone. Spironolactone is converted into active metabolite candinone in the liver. Next, coming to the adverse effects. Spironolactone has an anti-testosterone effect which can lead to gynecomastia and impotence. This occurs mainly at doses above 100 mg daily. Next, unlike thiazides, they do not aggravate insulin resistance or precipitate gout. Last one, hyperkalemia, especially at doses above 25 mg daily, and presence of renal failure. 20% of patients on 50 mg daily will develop hyperkalemia. High ceiling diuretics. First, what are the uses of loop diuretics? They are used to remove edema fluid induced by sodium retention in renal, hepatic, or cardiac diseases. Next, loop diuretics are the most effective diuretics because they can excrete up to 25% of the filtered sodium. How does edema fluid occur? In kidney disease, extra fluid and sodium in the circulation may cause edema that usually accumulates in the legs and around the eyes. Next, cirrhosis of the liver. It causes fluid to accumulate in the abdominal cavity and legs. Last one, in congestive heart failure, heart loses its ability to pump blood effectively. As a result, blood can accumulate in the legs, ankles and feet, thus cause edema. Next, what should be done or how should we treat? We use the drugs that must remove sodium ions from the body in order to reduce edema fluid. Next, how do loop diuretics remove sodium ions? They block the sodium-potassium 2-chloride cotransporter, thereby reabsorption of sodium in the loop of Henle decreases. These loop diuretics inhibits this channel, thereby reabsorption of these ions are inhibited. Next, what is the function of sodium-potassium 2-chloride cotransporter? Whenever this channel is activated, within the cell, potassium ions are accumulated, thus causing leakage of these potassium ions into the lumen through the potassium channels. Thereby, in the lumen, positive potential is increased. Here you see, movement of potassium ions from the cell into the lumen. Thereby, in the lumen, positive potential is increased. Next, what effect does the positive charge do? When there is no positive charge in the lumen, the calcium and magnesium ions are excreted. Because the lumen has a positive potential, the magnesium and calcium ions are repelled from the lumen side into the interstitial side through paracellular mechanism, thus promote reabsorption. Here you see the movement of calcium and magnesium ions from the luminal side into the interstitial side through paracellular mechanism. Now, so far what we have discussed the functions of sodium-potassium 2-chloride cotransporter. What is the first function? Activation of this channel causes reabsorption of sodium-potassium 2-chloride ions. This is activation of this cotransporter causes movement of this ion into the cell. Second one, indirect function of sodium-potassium 2-chloride transporter. That means activation of this channel causes accumulation of potassium ions within the cells, thus causing leakage of potassium ions into the lumen. Thereby, in the lumen positive potential is developed. Due to the positive potential, these calcium and magnesium ions are repelled from the lumen side into the interstitial side. Next, mechanism of action of loop diuretics. They inhibit the sodium-potassium 2-chloride cotransporter, thereby they increase the excretion of sodium, potassium, chloride, magnesium and calcium. You see, inhibition of this channel causes excretion of these ions from the lumen. What are those drugs? Here, I have given one mnemonic B-FIT. All are capital letters, but we have to observe bold. B-E-F-T. B. Bumetanide. E. Ethacrenic acid. F. Furosemide. T. Torsemide. Next, coming to the key points of these drugs. First one, bumetanide is the most potent loop diuretic with lesser side effects than furosemide. Second one, ethacrenic acid is highly ototoxic drug. Third one, the vasodilator effect of furosemide is responsible for quick relief in left ventricular failure and pulmonary edema. Last one, torsemide has the longest half-life. Next, coming to the adverse effects. Loop diuretics cause a rapid and excessive loss of blood volume as well as electrolyte imbalance, which leads to hypotensive shock and even cardiac arrhythmia. Next, second one, sodium potassium 2-chloride cotransporter is also located in the inner eye, so they cause ototoxicity. Next, furosemide and bumetanide are sulfonamide derivatives, hence they should not be administered in patients allergic to sulfonamides. Next, ethacrenic acid and furosemide compete with uric acid transport at the same site. As a result, its secretion is obstructed, thus result in gout. Last one, like thiazides, furosemide has a metabolic effect that increases insulin resistance, leading to diabetes, especially in the presence of hypokalemia. Next, final drug interactions of furosemide. We know that digoxin causes hypokalemia, so that it should not be administered with furosemide. Why? Because both they cause severe hypokalemia. Second one, NSAIDs should not be administered with furosemide because NSAIDs inhibit prostaglandin synthesis and block PZ-mediated hemodynamic changes of loop diuretics. The repeated use results in sodium and water retention, and they decrease the antihypertensive effect of loop diuretics or thiazides. Next, third one, furosemide should not be administered with aminoglycosides because both of them cause ototoxicity. When used together, they may potentiate further toxicity. Next, last one, furosemide or thiazides should not be administered with lithium because furosemide induces hyponatremia, which results in a compensatory increase in sodium and lithium reabsorption in the proximal convoluted tubule, resulting in lithium toxicity. Medium efficacy diuretics. First, let us discuss what is the mechanism of thiazide diuretics. These are the drugs that inhibit sodium chloride cotransporter located at the luminal membrane of early distal tubule. Here you see, this is the sodium chloride cotransporter which is located at the luminal membrane of distal tubule. Thereby, reabsorption of sodium and chloride ions is inhibited. They inhibit the reabsorption of 5% filtered sodium. Hence, they are not as powerful as loop diuretics. There are two types of thiazide diuretics. First one, thiazides or benzodiazepines. Second one, thiazide-like diuretics. First, let us discuss thiazides. Here I have given one mnemonic, phobic. All are capital letters, but we must see bold letters. P. Polythiazide. H. Hydrochlorothiazide. B. Benzothiazide. C. Chlorothiazide. Next, thiazide-like diuretics. These are the drugs that do not have a similar structure with that of thiazides, but they have same mechanism of action. What are those? X. Medical Council of India. Here it is the mnemonic. but we have to see capital letters with bold. X, M, C, I. X, zipamide. M, metolazone. C, chlorthalidone. I, indapamide. Next, first let us discuss what is the general function of sodium chloride co-transporter. The main function is reabsorption of sodium and chloride ions. Here you see, activation of this co-transporter results in the reabsorption of sodium and chloride ions into the epithelial cells. Sodium is transported into the blood by exchange with potassium through sodium-potassium ATPase. Here, you see the accumulation of sodium within the cell is exchanged with potassium through sodium-potassium ATPase. Next, finally, chloride leaks out on other side through chloride channel. Here you see the chloride leaks out through chloride channel. Next, uses of thiazides. Thiazides are most effective in prevention of heart failure and the first-line treatment for uncomplicated hypertension. Thiazides are not suggested for patients with renal failure because they lower glomerular filtration rate. Chlorthalidone and indapamide are the longest-acting thiazide-like diuretics. Last one, hydrochlorothiazide is the shortest-acting thiazide. Next, coming to the side effects, like loop diuretics, thiazides can cause hypokalemia. They can also cause hyperuricemia by interfering with uric acid transport. Hence, they aggravate gout. Thiazides can cause hyperglycemia in 10% of patients because they block in conversion of proinsulin to insulin. Thiazides cause a 5 to 15% increase in total serum cholesterol and LDL levels through an unknown mechanism. Next, unlike loop diuretics, thiazides can cause hypercalcemia by the following mechanism. We know that thiazides block the sodium chloride co-transporter so that to compensate for the sodium loss, sodium calcium exchanger is activated. As a result, more sodium ions are exchanged for calcium, which is excreted into the bloodstream. Here you see, whenever this channel is inhibited, to compensate the loss of sodium ions, sodium calcium exchanger is activated, which is located on the basolateral side of the distal tubule, so that more calcium ions are excreted into the bloodstream. I hope you like this video. If you want to purchase the book, the link is provided in the description. For more videos, you please like, share, subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.